There's a somatic loop running through your system right now, and it's been there before you were born, and it has never stopped. When you learn to bring your awareness at this level, you experience an embodiment that begins to inform your intuition and helps you develop your intuitive gifts. This is the same somatic loop that your gut uses to communicate with your heart and also to begin to trust what your heart already knows. Your heart is one of the first structures to begin to develop at the level of the womb. And from the first heartbeat, your autonomic nervous system begins to organize itself, which includes your vagus nerve that will one day connect your brainstem to your heart, lungs, and gut. The steady rhythm of your heartbeat creates the structure necessary for your nervous system to organize itself. Before you have language, before you have thought, your heartbeat is organizing you. And this is where the loop begins. Now, your vagus nerve travels down from your brainstem into your gut, where it is introduced to trillions of living microorganisms that it helps develop and shape. And these microorganisms now travel back up the same nerve into your brain, shaping your brain and creating the structure of and the state of your mind and your emotions, your emotional state. Now, this is a part that most people don't get, that it doesn't stop at the level of the gut, that it actually travels back up as your intuition, that deep inner knowing, the yeses and nos that you feel before you've even had a chance to think about a situation. So for today's conversation, I want to help you understand your somatic loop so that you can drop your access, your attention here, and have agency over your emotions, your thoughts, your reactions and actions. And this isn't a metaphor, this is an actual physical loop, a part of your physiology that's backed up by research done for decades from the HeartMath Institute. I work in two different disciplines, integrative Chinese medicine and intuitive energy guidance. Most people would think these disciplines are separate from one another, but the more I sit with both of them, I'm able to make connections and understand that they are pointing to the same thing, just coming from different vantage points. And what we are going to cover today is the 3 layers that are part of the somatic loop: the coherent heart, the mindfulness, the state of attention that you create with mindfulness that supports your parasympathetic nervous system, and also the 3 brains being synchronized one another, the mind, heart, and gut. And these 3 areas work as a spiral, and this spiral creates the somatic loop that now begins to develop and inform your intuition and helps you guide yourself from an embodied state throughout your day, throughout your life, so that you are coming from a state of coherency with sacred boundaries, with deeper connection to yourself and a deeper knowing of where you begin and where you end, and where the world begins and ends, and what parts you are actually one with, what parts you want to deeply connect into and let go of your sacred boundaries, and what parts you want to create the sacred boundaries with, so that you're always staying in a state of coherency. So let's go ahead and start where the loop starts, at the level of your heart. Here's something that surprises most people when they hear it for the first time. Your heart isn't just a pump waiting to receive instructions from your brain. Your heart is actually sending more information up to your brain than your brain is sending down to your heart. This isn't fringe science. This is backed up by research done from the HeartMath Institute, an organization that is dedicated to studying the heart-brain connection since the 1990s. The HeartMath Institute discovered when you are feeling stressed, agitated, irritated, your heart rhythm begins to change. It becomes more erratic, more jagged. And this isn't something that just feels bad. It also affects your cognition, your perception, your capability to be present and available to the world around you. They also discovered when you are able to connect into feelings of warmth and gratitude and appreciation at the level of your heart, like something you actually experience, embodied, feel, then that also influences your heart rhythm, and it creates a nice smooth rhythm of the heart where it supports your cognition, it supports your presence and your perception. The HeartMath Institute calls this the heart coherency. Dr. Let me look at her name. Dr. Roland McCarthy, who's a director research at the HeartMath, defines it this way: the coherence is the state when the heart, mind, and emotions are in energetic alignment with cooperation. Now, I want you to think about this definition because it's not just biology. It's very similar to what most spiritual practices would point to being present and embodied. And this is where we begin to see where science and spiritual disciplines begin to merge. And there's perhaps a physiological explanation for what spiritual practices have been asking and pointing the person to devote their attention to. So here's a daily practice that you can do every day that can help you create a coherency at the level of your heart and begin to feel a more present state, a more embodied state. Just begin by finding yourself in a comfortable position and bring your hands over your heart energy center and do it deliberately by bringing your sacred attention at this level. Allow your sacred awareness to arrive at this level. And once you're able to feel your attention here, now begin to breathe slowly, about a 5 inhalation count, inhalation in, and a 5 exhalation out. So you're going to slowly breathe in for 5 and slowly exhale for 5. And you're going to do a rhythm of about 5 breaths, 5 breath cycles or longer. And once you're able to really establish a deep connection here, perhaps a sensation of spaciousness, or you can feel your chest gently rise up and fall down with each breath, then I want you to bring in feelings of warmth, feelings of gratitude or appreciation. And if you're not able to just bring those feelings up within yourself, then go into your memory bank of a memory you have that generates feelings of warmth, memory you have that generates feelings of gratitude and appreciation. And once you're able to generate the feelings, then I want you to fully feel these feelings at the level of your chest, at the level of your heart energy center. Really feel the visceral sensation and the warmth and the gratitude and the appreciation. As you continue staying in that slow breath cycle of 5 inhalations, 5 exhalations. If you have the capacity, stay here for a few minutes. That's it. That's the whole exercise. So if you can do this maybe once or twice a day, or in times of transition from place to place, this is a really nice way to create coherency at the level of your heart energy center. And that will support your cognition, your presence, your embodiment. Another time you can actually bring this exercise is if you just had a conversation or you had an interaction or information that came in that stressed you out, you had a situation where you feel like you're in a state of agitation, then you can put your hands on your chest and connect into your heart energy center, bring your sacred awareness, and go into that slow breath cycle and bring in feelings of appreciation, gratitude, either from memory or just by pulling up those feelings within you. And by doing this exercise, you're able to transform the state of stress and agitation into a state of coherency and connecting back into the present moment and your parasympathetic nervous system. A coherent heart creates the foundation for the next step. However, there's one more ingredient that's necessary, and that is your attention. So here's the physiology. Your coherent heart activates your vagus nerve. It creates a toned vagus nerve. And that toned vagus nerve now supports your gut lining, that then supports much more diverse microorganisms. Research done for brain gut axis has shown that when we have a toned vagus nerve, or the healthier someone's vagus nerve is, the stronger the gut lining is, and there's a much more diverse microorganisms within the gut that actually produces fat chains, fatty acids that your body actually needs to be at its optimum health. So now we have the first part of the loop, right? So you have a coherent heart, you have a toned vagus nerve, better gut lining, and much more diverse microorganisms. But just because you sit down for 3 minutes a day and you create the coherency at the level of your heart, it doesn't mean now this loop is going to be generated. You have to bring yourself throughout the day as much as possible into the present moment and really bring that coherency, stay connected, be in that embodiment, be in that presence, create the sensation of warmth or gratitude or appreciation, being mindful in sensations within your system. The more you can allow your attention to drop in at the level of your heart energy center, to begin to be interested and in dedication to creating coherency at this level, the more you are going to be supporting your toned vagus nerve, your gut lining, and the diversity of your microbiome. Now, this is where we begin to see science and spiritual reality or spiritual disciplines point to the same thing, but coming from different angles, right? So the science will say coherent heart, toned vagal nerve, which also is coming into a parasympathetic state of consciousness, right? Calming your nervous system, activating your parasympathetic nervous system. And the spiritual disciplines will say, come into the present moment, stay connected to your breath, be mindfulness, be present, be embodied. So there are two different mechanisms, but they're pointing to the same thing. And when we merge the two together, when we have an understanding of both worlds and merge them together as I am creating coherency at the level of my heart energy center, I'm coming into deeper presence within myself. As I am staying connected to the rhythm of my breath, I am allowing my attention to come into the present moment. When we merge the two disciplines together, I believe that we have a much more powerful system at place, better tools to stay in the present moment and to align our systems for that coherency, for our ability to listen to that intuition, for our ability to activate our own healing capacities that come from being in a parasympathetic nervous system, that come from being in the present moment and being in a state of mindfulness, a state of expansion. There are 3 exercises that you can do every day that can be supportive of this process for you. One exercise you can do is every time before you're about to eat a meal, I want you to just pause for a moment and connect into the sensation at the level of your stomach. I want you to feel your hunger at the level of your stomach. So I don't want it to be cognitive, not your mind or not your appetite, but really feeling what your stomach feels when it cues hunger. And when you begin to eat, I want you to continue to feel the sensation at the level of your stomach. See if you can begin to feel your stomach actually start feeling a state of satiation, state of coming into a place where it's beginning to fill up. And try to stop at that like 95% fullness if possible, so that you're able to really connect to your stomach's experience through that somatic connection. Another exercise that I have found to be incredibly helpful is through times of transition. So you finish one activity and you're about to go into the next. Before you run into the next activity, I want you to pause and just drop in the question, what is true in my body right now? And when you drop in the question, I don't want you to answer it with your mind. I want you to answer it through a somatic experience. I want you to actually feel what is true in your body right now. Be acquainted with yourself through sensation before you allow your brain to answer it through a thought. The third exercise that I think will be really helpful for you to stay connected to yourself on a somatic level is right before you fall asleep. I want you to put your awareness at the level of your navel, kind of like actually an inch and a half below your navel, and send your breath here. Instead of sending your breath here, what I want you to do is bring your attention here, bring your awareness here. And in that time, as you continue to bring your awareness here, what you will feel is your breath will begin to naturally ascend down and deepen in the lower abdomen. And ironically, or coincidentally, this area is also an area where most of your microbiome lives within the gut. So it's also an area in Chinese medicine where you store your jing, where your essence is stored within the body. So it's a very powerful point that in Qigong classes and exercises, we will put our mind and focus here to cultivate more vitality and support our essence, our longevity, our cognition, our capacity to be sharp in our spirit and grounded and present in our body all simultaneously. So these three exercises are things you can bring to your daily life to create more coherency at the level of your heart by taking your nervous system and activating your parasympathetic nervous system, and also bringing yourself deeper into the present moment. Many traditions speak of the three brains: your head, your heart, and your gut. And to the modern ear, this might sound symbolic, but it's not. Your heart has its own intrinsic nervous system, almost made of 40,000 neurons that create a mini brain. And your gut has its own enteric nervous system, so exquisite that it's often referred to as the second brain. And your vagus nerve is about 80% afferent, meaning 4/5 of the information that is carried through the vagus nerve goes up to the brain versus from the brain down to the body. Now I want you to really sit with that. Most of the information that is carried in your nervous system is going from your body to the brain and not from the brain to your body. So when we think of the somatic loop and we look at the entirety of it, there is a coherent heart creating a toned vagus nerve supporting the gut lining and the diversity of the microbiome, creating neurotransmitters that now loop back up to the brain, informing the brain, creating coherency at the level of the mind and stabilizing mind and mood. This becoming your intuitive guidance, your intuitive knowing that is trustworthy, that you can actually really listen to, and it's separate from anxiousness and anxiety and not being able to trust yourself and really know your own gut's intuition. When you're able to stay in this level of coherency and really be connected to this loop and stay in an expansive state, you're able to deeply trust your intuition because you're fully informed. Your cognitive state is in coherency. And this is also where I want you to really pause and see how your spiritual practice and the scientific understanding of how to maintain coherency within our cognition is pointing to at the same place, right? So where the science will point to a tone vagus nerve and a parasympathetic activation, spiritual practices will talk about being present, being mindful, staying in a state of groundedness and connected to our breath in that embodiment, in that presence. So when we're able to understand it from both places and we're able to bring the practices together, our capacity to understand what we are doing in our physiology with our attention and with our intention, combining the two together, we're able to create a much stronger system and a deeper practice that serves our highest good, that begins to inform our intuition, and not just inform our intuition, that creates that deeper stability and trust of I can trust myself because I know how to listen to my body. I know how to maintain coherency with my body. So here's a practice that I want you to do every day for about 5 to 10 minutes, once 1 to 2 times a day. That's going to really help you connect into your somatic alchemy loop, where then you're able to maintain it throughout your day and come back to it again and again to serve you, to help you connect to that deeper inner knowing, that deeper intuition. So I want you to get yourself in a comfortable position, and I want you to bring one hand over your heart energy center and one hand on the lower belly, kind of 1.5 inches below your navel. And you're gonna bring your attention to the cavities at the level of your heart energy center and at the area below your navel, kind of your sacral energy center. And as you bring your attention here and awareness here, I want you to send your breath in both locations with your attention. And as you send your breath here, bring your attention here, you are creating awareness of spaciousness at both levels. And as you're bringing your breath to both levels, creating spaciousness at both levels, you can begin to feel both hands rise with the inhalations and fall with the exhalations. That could happen on the outside as it rises, but that could also happen as a vision or a sensation that you have within the cavities of the heart energy center and the sacral energy center. You can feel the expansion simultaneously, or you can spontaneously see the expansion if that's what happens. It's not necessarily a visualization that you are intending to have. It's more something that might spontaneously happen as you are doing the exercise. Once you find the coherency of the rhythm between the heart and the lower abdomen region, the sacral energy center, and you're able to feel the expansion, either the rise of your hands or the sensation within the centers, creating more spaciousness, I want you to bring in a question, a simple question that you are looking to have more guidance around. And once you drop in the question, I want you to really allow your body to answer the question first before you allow your mind to create an interpretation. So it could be a sensation that comes up, a feeling. It could be a feeling of joy, expansion, or fear, or it could be a sensation of tightening, or it could come through visualization, images coming through. Once you get the interpretation through some form of sensation, your senses giving an expression to your question, answering the question, then I want you to answer it with your mind. And then I want you to give gratitude and appreciation, and slowly bringing yourself out of that meditation. And that's something I want you to get in practice of doing through once or twice a day. And then once that muscle becomes really strong, then it's something that you will have access to throughout your day. Where maybe something happens and you don't quite understand what happened, so then you're going to bring yourself to a state of coherency, and you don't necessarily have to put your hands over your chest and your lower belly at this time, right? At this time, you can just go into connecting to those places with your attention, and then you can just drop in whatever it is that the question is in that moment, and have your body interpret that experience, and then have that interpretation be interpreted with your mind, with your cognition. This is incredibly important to have the body interpret before your mind, so that you are always working with coherency within the nervous system, coherency at the level of the heart first, and not going to your mind. Once you've established that coherency at the level of the heart, then you allow the mind to interpret it. So then you're training your intuition to come from coherency, so that it's never mistaken with anxiousness or fear, right? It's always coming from a place of coherency where you're able to see the truth, interpret the truth, and be in a state of expansion. If you are committed to this process, you will begin to see your intuition and the gifts that are specific to you, meaning more visualization or more knowing, or the details within the answers that your intuition is giving. You begin to see those gifts develop even further, and your capacity to deeply trust that information will begin to expand further, and simultaneously you will be much more grounded, much more present, and being present in your everyday life just is easy. Not just easy, it's desirable. It's something that you seek out versus, oh, I have to be in the discipline of being in the present moment, and it's so hard to be conscious, right? Those thoughts don't come in, and actually the desire to be present and that game, that process is something that you seek and desire, and it comes with ease and it's effortless. Just a little bit of discipline at the beginning, and then everything else goes into flow. If this video resonated with you and the information has been helpful for you, I will be expanding further to develop your intuition and other exercises that will be compounding from this foundation. So please stay tuned for more videos that are going to come out. Please feel free to leave any messages below for any questions that you might have about the exercises. And it's always my honor to share this information with you, and I'm really grateful for your time and your presence. And I'm looking forward to connecting with you soon. Thank you.